Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one! Another one!
Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three, and he hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. It is Wednesday, hump day. Get you over that spot, baby. We're halfway there already. Yesterday was finally a soggy day, if you were around here. Finally, I say. I'd like to know how long it had been between precipitation, because I don't remember the last time it rained. It seemed like it was so long. I know that getting out and playing golf outside of the fairway, buddy, if you're not on the fairway, you're on basically the parking lot. But that is exactly what everything needed. That was what you call an old-fashioned soaker. Just long and steady. Rained all day and all a good portion of the night yesterday. Unfortunately, it not only did coming down was the rain, but the temperatures. Ooh. Yeah, when you walk out today, you're definitely going to notice a bit of a difference if you're in the central Indiana area. Those of you else in parts off from otherwheres, well, of course, your effects will be different, especially those of you to the north, to the south. I'm always curious on where people listen. I know that most of the people that were able to listen live, I have a good indication there, but more of you that listen later, feel free to comment where you're listening from. It's always curious as to where, because I see that besides our great friends at the Ref, WREF 97.7 ESPN, the Ref in Evansville, and WBROA in Marengo on radio, both of those places. But a lot of people catch us on podcast after the fact or on YouTube, especially on YouTube, which has grown immensely. Thank you all. But I'm always curious where everybody is. People hitting us up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. Speaking of Andy Moore, we're brought to you by our great friends from Andy Moore Honda. Just go to andymoorehonda.com and you will find the greatest selection in new and used vehicles and the best prices. In addition to that, Endeavor Hospitality's Wow Club. Go to your Apple App Store, Google Play Store, sign up, start earning WOW rewards today from great places like BB's Market, home of Dustin's favorite ribeye steak. And it is incredible. Best chili ingredients, best tailgating preparations. So you've got it all and more. Dustin, you need to Google Dustin Schutte from Outsider.com, our co-host, joining us. You're going to have to Google on your phone the Taxi Driver.
The movie.
Just that's all you got. Yeah, that's all you got to Google is that. The picture will pop up, and you will know exactly what I'm saying. You are he. So your costume is the easiest in the history of the world. Hey, Mark from Geist, appreciate you, man. I don't recall seeing your name on here before, so that's even a bonus. Up there on the lake. Yeah, Mike, listening from the land of legend down there. Larry Legend, French Lick.
Yeah, I just now looked up. Okay, there we go. That's my Halloween costume. I just need some sunglasses.
Is that not? Now you got to go full bore. I mean, I think doesn't he shave his head on the sides?
He shaves his head. Yeah, he's got like, I can't tell if it's a
mini like mohawk.
Yeah.
But it's a mohawk like you have right now. Yeah, just like you have right now with just a short hair mohawk. Right. So that would be something that you could do for a day or two and then be gone with it, start over, have no worries.
Get some aviators and this I don't even know, this is like it looks like a military jacket of some kind. I don't know.
It's an old army coat, man. Come on.
There we go.
This is a 70s, early 70s like post-Vietnam movie.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you.
I'm going to have to watch this too. I wonder if I can find it somewhere. As in, like,
I'm staring. You can't. For those of you listening, you couldn't see my jaw. I'll make the sound recreate. That was the sound of my jaw hitting the ground. I wonder if I can find it somewhere. It's only one of the greatest, most hallowed movies of all time.
I know, but I'm wondering if
then yes, you can find it someplace.
Hulu.
It's on everything.
God.
I wonder if I can find it somewhere.
If not,
wait a minute. Oh, so now we're talking about being a tight ass.
It was on Netflix recently, I'd have to say. And Dustin, if you want to fly out to LA, it's showing at Quentin Tarantino's theater here in a couple weeks. So I'll buy your ticket if you want to come out. But I just had to say that it's a great flick.
Well, wait a minute. Whoa. Where's my ticket?
Jim, that I extend the invite to you as well. Come on out. I'd love to take you.
I'm in. I will do the show from out there.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, come on.
You think I'm kidding? If somebody's flying me to LA, oh, hell yes, I will do the show from out there. I don't care. Yes. You think I'm kidding? That would be awesome. Get the tickets to the movie and set it up. I'm in. Like right. Flynn.
I'll send you the dates.
Dustin can say no all he wants. I right now, I'm in. I don't need to. I'm in.
Love to have you.
Dustin, are you in?
When is it showing?
When is it showing? I want to make sure it's not a Mr. Hair appointment or something.
Here, I'll look it up. It's like 1 mile from where I live. So you guys come over for dinner.
This would be incredible. Incredible fun to do. On top of that would be awesome. Let's see. There's IU people out there that I could get us hooked up with to have on the show.
We can have hysterics come out.
And then I lost my train of thought. My breakfast almost came up.
USC, UCLA.
Let's see. Yes, I'm going to go visit Pauley Pavilion before
Friday, November 18th.
Schedule play them.
Doesn't IU play that day on the 18th?
I don't know, man. I can't keep every game in my head. Somebody have to look that up and tell me. Does IU have a basketball game on the 18th? What day is that? You say that's a Friday?
Yeah, I have the schedule up. They play.
Yeah,
Xavier. They play Xavier that day.
Gee whiz, and it's a road game.
You know what? It'd be like 3 p.m. Pacific time, so we could catch the movie still.
Hey, and I could fly out of Cincinnati.
There you go.
There you go. Direct flight.
Because yeah, you think I'm kidding?
I don't.
No. Check into it. You can get tickets to the movie.
Easy.
Why is it not a sold out thing?
It will be. It just isn't yet. They always sell out. It's a small theater. They always have tickets at the door, though. If we go in.
Yeah, I'm reading some of these comments on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. Five Left's jumping in there, back referencing Taxi Driver. Did you hear me say this yesterday? You didn't hear this yesterday. You talking to me? You talking to me? Well, I don't see anybody else there, so you must be talking to me. There's just certain scenes, man. There's certain phrases. You talking to me? Have you never heard that phrase? People say it. You talking?
I've heard that phrase. I had no idea it was from Taxi Driver.
Gosh. Man, people, I guess everybody your age thinks that everything in the history of the world was invented in the last 25 years, I think. That's what's fun. I'm like, where do you all think this stuff came from? That before everyone spoke in grunts.
What's that? Yes, that's what.
These phrases were up on the west side of Indy.
I love Martin Scorsese films.
And Davis, well, they're a tough one. John C. down in southern Indiana. Speaking of which, I saw there's a piece in the paper about Romeo. I started to read it, but I didn't. Nothing, just a feature piece, just a fluff piece in the Indy Star. But yeah, there's that. Yep, sir. I wish I was that down there. I've never been there. I keep telling you that. I can't wait to get there, though. Who's got Rupert floats? Oh, well. Anyway, hey, on the program today, Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. I wonder if he'll have anything to say about the quarterback switch for the Colts.
I can't imagine.
I wonder. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star also joining us as Indiana high school football playoffs underway. This is actually week 2, but it's week 1 for 5 and 6A. So, however you want to look at it. I don't know. Is it week 2, week 1? I don't know. Bring Bozich, the Hall of Famer, WDRB.com. He'll join us as well. Question for him. Whose seat is warmer, Tom Allen's or Scott Satterfield?
Oh, I bet it's. Can I give my answer? I think it's Scott Satterfield.
I would agree with you, but I would want to know more since I don't cover them much. I don't know much about the contract. I would like to know more about his current contract. That's why I will say that Tom Allen's got another year.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere. So his seat is, I don't know if you consider that warm at the moment. Not really to me. But the thing is, what would Louisville do? Because I think, well, the reason I say this is because I know what they want. They want Jeff Brom.
Right.
Well, we got to take a break. I want to get off course here, but well, that'd be great to talk to Bob Kravitz about as well. But I don't know if Louisville can afford him right now, or if he's ready to leave there, if he's doing better in a conference that's going to get a big dose of infusion of cash soon. We'll be back to talk about that and lots more with the man himself, Bob Kravitz. Right after this, brought to you by our good friends at BB's Market. Make sure you go to visit bbsmarket.com. Also, go to your Apple app or Google Play Store to the WOW Club. Start earning WOW rewards today. We'll be there Friday doing the show. Stop by, have breakfast on me. Back with more right after this.
Right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Here's a story of a man named Bobby.
How are you, bud?
I'm great. How are you, sir?
Good. You hear about JD?
I have not heard official news, but
yeah, he had a quadruple bypass the other day.
Okay, I mean, I known it was that he was undergoing some stuff. I've been texting, and I texted his wife, but so
yeah,
that did come out.
He just got out of the hospital. So we've been talking a little bit since we're zipper buddies.
How's he doing?
He seems to be doing all right. You know, it's a tough recovery. I know that. I'm sure they'll have to slow down quite a bit.
Well, the funny thing is, this is the only time he could have done this. He couldn't have done it during Crean or Archie. It probably would have killed him.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's gonna slow down. So, have some other people do your work for you.
Yeah, he does a ton. All right, go ahead.
We go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. Hump Day, baby. Can't think of anybody better to have than Bob Kravitz on Hump Day from The Athletic. How are you?
I'm good. Are you saying I'm a hump?
No, it's just you think of Hump Day and you're propelling into the rest of the week, baby.
You think of weekend, you think of fun, you think of me.
You think of Bob.
Okay.
You think of the Kravitz touch. Don't forget, we're brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant, located at Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington, where you can find each Monday and Wednesday Inside Indiana basketball on Mondays, Inside Indiana football on Wednesdays with Don Fisher and the coaches of each respective sport. Starting this Monday, jump out there. So, Bob, you always know where that is. You can stop by and have the best tenderloin you've ever had in your life.
Yeah,
I've never been a tenderloin guy. They just never good. They're always like hubcap size with that little hat in the middle. It looks like, because it's a hamburger bun. And I'm like, it looks like but this is.
You're not a Hoosier.
Oh, I am, but I don't like. These are phenomenal.
They're great.
I'm like, oh, okay, I'm back. Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. That wasn't very good. Yeah, we were talking.
So what's going on with the Colts?
Well, I was just right before you came on. I said, talking about the quarterback change. I said, our friend Bob won't have anything to say about that.
No, except that it had to happen.
I put out a retweet rather, that I saw that someone had put together that since 2018, the Colts have spent, I think it was, if I remembering correctly, $146 million on 12 different quarterbacks. Yeah. And I'm like, I could have made 145. I could have changed 145 people's lives. Maybe 144.
Yeah.
But I could have changed 144 people's lives forever, and their families forever with that. And the Colts would be the same place they are now.
Talking about the real world, so But yeah, it's been extraordinary, and if anything good comes out of this, it's that. Oh shoot, somebody's calling me.
All right, something good must be coming out right now.
No, no. The good is that it confirms that next year in the draft, they absolutely, positively, no question about it, have to go out and get themselves a quarterback in the draft. I mean, there's just no alternative, unless Ellinger turns into Tom Brady, which I don't believe he's going to.
Well, you look at New England, they got two guys. And every one of these guys, Dustin, we've had this conversation a lot of late. I keep bringing up, the NFL used to be, you come into the league, you sit behind an experienced veteran for 2-3 years, sometimes 4, but a couple of years. It's like going to college, basically. You learn the lay of the land, because pro football is a big difference. Reading the defenses, everything's so much faster. And now it's like NASCAR. It's not the same. It used to be these veterans that were in the races. It's not. Now it's all these young guys that a lot of people had heard of. All these young quarterbacks that have just been in college, which it's kind of cool in a way, because now they've got this name recognition. But the Justin Fields, who made Chicago look like an unstoppable offense against the Patriots the other night. But you've got all these other guys, Mac Jones and it was
Zappy.
Yeah, Zappy hour came and went early for the Patriots, but still have all these young quarterbacks, and the Colts or they got guys like you and me, Bob.
Yes, and move just about as well.
Exactly.
So no, I mean, the reason why guys don't sit behind, maybe they'll do it for half a year or a year, but a lot of them are playing in pro style offenses in college, so they're a little more prepared. And plus, there's a financial element to this. Who wants to pay, say, a Matt Ryan another $18 million so he can tutor the next guy? I mean, it just doesn't make any financial sense. So, yeah, look, I was in the press box in Nashville, and I was going to write. I had written it already. They need to make the change now, and I backed off. I allowed myself to get talked out of it, and I said one more stinker and he's gone. One more and that's it. And they beat me to the punch.
I was surprised to see it though, but do you think it was more about performance, Dustin and Bob, or the media pressure of the lack of performance?
No, I don't think that had anything to do with the media pressure. If anything, the media was of a mind. I mean, I was as tough on him as anybody, and I was saying one more bad one and he's out. Nobody was calling for his head right away. Look, I think it was two things happened at the same time. He got a grade 2 shoulder separation, which is going to knock him out of the lineup for a little while anyway. And they've been grooming Ellinger now for a couple of weeks. Moving him up on the list there to the backup spot over Foles, and now this is what they got. I mean, I'm going to ask Frank Reich today if there's any kind of similarity between what's going on now with this quarterback and what went on with Nick Foles when he had to take over before the playoff run for Philadelphia. Because you're getting a quarterback in midstream and trying to get him up to speed really fast. So I wonder if there's some commonality there.
We'll find out. Dustin, Indiana football, a bye this week. Probably, I don't know if it could come at a better time. I don't know if it really much matters right now, but it gives Indiana a chance to continue to make some changes with Rod Carey. I don't know that we've seen much difference, but it's not like that sounds unfair to even say. He's been in that position for 2 or 3 weeks. And the previous person was there for 2-3 years. So, but man, Indiana, Bob, the road they had opportunities. They should have beaten Nebraska, should have beaten Maryland, should have beaten Rutgers, and it would have been bowl eligible. And they could have lost to the rest of the teams like they probably will, although Purdue is an enigma. They're up and down.
Yeah,
but
really
but I don't think that anything Rick Bozich is on with us later, and being that he's a lot closer to the situation, my question for him is going to be whose seat is warmer, Tom Allen's or Scott Satterfield's? Not that Tom Allen is going anywhere. I'm not suggesting that he goes anywhere, and he's not going anywhere this year, especially. But I don't know that what can Louisville do. They just spent $14 million prior to getting Satterfield because that's what they had to pay Bobby Petrino for him to leave.
Right. And look, Braum is still there. They want Braum. I think Braum
exactly, and that's the big question.
Yeah,
but Braum, can Braum leave Purdue because he's making what he's making, and with what we know the amount of cash that's about to be infused into the Big Ten?
I don't know. I'd have to talk to my buddies in West Lafayette. I don't know the finances surrounding a buyout for him, but I would think that with the money coming into the Big Ten, that they would be able to. They would take some of the sting out of it, I guess is what you'd say.
I don't think Mike Babinski would be outbid for Jeff Braum. I think that if Braum wanted to leave, it would be because of personal reasons more so than
right.
money, because I think Purdue's going to match it. Yeah,
it's family. It's hard to look, you want him to stay at Purdue. He's done a nice job, but that's his alma mater, man. How can you blame him? I mean, he's the Brahms are the first football football family
Perfect.
in Louisville. I mean, they have a name, they have a reputation. I wouldn't blame him at all.
But then you think about where's the ACC going in football? He's in one of what already is the true premier leagues and will continue to grow in stature. And like right now, he still has a shot at getting to the Big Ten championship game.
He does.
So that's, I don't know. It's just he would be giving up a lot and taking, to me now, I wouldn't have said this, 5 years ago, but now this would be a down step to me, just because of where Louisville is, what that's going on with the ACC conference and all that stuff.
Yeah. He's going to have to weigh that against family. That's and going home, and that's a hard thing to do.
Dustin, what do you think?
Well, I wanted to get Bob's thoughts on the Pacers. We're through the first 4 games, 1-3 start. The tank season is fully
the tank is on,
but it's a fun. It's been a fun tank.
It has been. They've been very, very enjoyable to watch. Very entertaining. They're especially when they go to small lineups, which they have to almost all the time. They're moving the ball. There's a lot of freedom on the offense. Now they don't have guys who can knock shots down and make plays in the open court, and that'll come over time. But I'll tell you what, if you aren't impressed by Ben Mathurin already, this guy, he's got Rookie of the Year. He's got that look. I mean, I know Banchero had a great opener. I haven't been following him game by game, but boy, Mathurin looks like the real deal. Certainly Halliburton. They have a backcourt that's going to be really interesting for years to come. And again, the guy that I liked a lot, I've always liked, is Nembhard, Andrew Nembhard from Gonzaga. Big, tall point guard, a little bit like Halliburton. But I think once he grows into that backup spot, he's going to be dynamic. So they've got some good young players. I've been a little bit critical of Duarte.
Yeah.
How about I'm looking at down at these are all rookie numbers. Mathurin right there at 22, just over 22 points a game. 3-pointers made three a game. So man, they're getting that's a good from a rookie especially. And let's see, Keegan Murray. He's averaging more.
Well, he's been sick.
Banchero. He's averaging more than Banchero.
Yeah,
so,
and he's coming off the bench.
Actually, he's the highest averaging scoring rookie that's showing up here.
And he's coming off the bench.
Yeah,
and
there was a stat that he is only the second Pacer rookie in program history to come off the bench and score 20 points in back-to-back games, besides Reggie.
Yeah, I mean it just seems easy to him. Like scoring seems easy. It just kind of comes naturally in the flow of a game. He's incredibly efficient, and I don't want to put. I don't want to compare him to any players, but I will say that when I look at his game, I see a lot of Dwayne Wade. I see a lot of Dwayne Wade style basketball in the way Ben Mathurin plays the game. And when this kid develops an outside shot, holy smoke.
Yeah, Dustin, it's the guys that understand it's a process. It's not a sprint. They're going to come in and their job is to learn the NBA and to just learn all that they can, because it's going to be a tough year or two while they're building this around them. But by then, Bob, they're hopefully a semi-polished veteran. You're talking 3 years from now, even though I know 3 years does not make you a veteran, but 3 years in the league, yeah, you're entrenched.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot. They got so many young guys. Mather and Nemhard. Isaiah Jackson is in his second year. Duarte in his second year. I mean, it's just such a new team. And I just think I think Indiana is a smart basketball town, and I mean, or a smart basketball state. And they understand, I think, that the Pacers had to do this because they were on the wrong path. They were going nowhere with a team that wasn't particularly likable, and that was reflected in the fact that they were last in the league in attendance. I think attendance will pick up as people start to see that this is a team that's going to play hard and play freewheeling basketball. And look, they've been competitive every game. I mean, they've fallen behind. They came back against Washington. They came back. They beat Detroit. They played a very, very good game against Philadelphia and Joel Embiid, who always destroys them. So far, so good. And they're losing, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been fun to watch because there's been times where you watch them, they get down 20 points, and you think, oh boy, this is going to be a long night. And then they fight back. They found ways to get those first two games. They found ways to get back within a couple points and had chances to take it to overtime, potentially win the game.
Right.
And one thing I really liked what Ben Mathurin said, I don't remember if it was before or after the Detroit game, but basically saying I took notes of everybody who was drafted ahead of me, and I've got a point to prove. So not only is this kid uber talented, he plays with a little bit of an edge, and the fact that he's got kind of this system around him where they're going to play to his strengths. I was excited when they drafted him. Even now, I'm like, he might be. He could be an all-time great, at least in the organization.
In the organization, oh yeah. I mean, they're looking at Halliburton to be the face of the program or face of the of the franchise, but I think over time it's going to be Mathurin. I mean, I just think Mathurin, he doesn't have the chops for it just yet. He needs time to grow as a person and as a player. But I think talent-wise, this is the one kid who could be an all-star every year.
Yeah. I think that just real quick, I think that to me, I think Halliburton will be, I think Mathurin will be the star player, but I feel like almost Halliburton can be a Mark Jackson type. Like, I feel like you had to have a Mark Jackson to kind of rein Reggie in, rein some of those guys in a little bit. I think that's more Halliburton's role. Still obviously incredibly good, but if they can keep this backcourt together, it's
going to be good. And Nemhard coming off the bench. And don't discount, I know he's 100 years old, but TJ McConnell is really good for this team. I realize he's not part of the future, but he brings something really important to this team. And, whether he gets a lot of minutes or very few, I still think he'll have an impact.
Bob, all the talk about Indiana basketball, the rubber hits the road kind of on Saturday at 3:00 with an exhibition. So the people will at least see the players. They will see the guys on the floor. They will actually see them play in an uncontrolled type scrimmage. So I don't expect you to be there on a beautiful Saturday in the middle of the day when it's a bye week for the football team and there's nothing else that you had to be there for. Hint, hint. Boy, I sure wish that we didn't have to be.
Yeah.
Well, that'll sure ruin a weekend, huh? But it's kind of slowly, sneakily, just kind of kicking off this Saturday afternoon.
I see where they were ranked 13th in the league, or not in the league, in the nation.
In the AP poll.
Now, I will be the first to admit I have never seen Hood Schifino play except a couple of highlights. I haven't seen the freshman play. But
he's the deal.
I'm sure he's the deal. So is the movement. But there's the
movement didn't come from Montverde with back to no, he's legit. I mean, those guys that come from Montverde, they're like JUCO players coming in.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, they're going to need a lot of help from some of these freshmen and some of these young guys like Galloway and Tamar Bates and others to raise the level of their games. And I think that they will, because you look at this team, they have never finished higher than 9th in the Big Ten in the last 6 years. And that includes all the years that this core group has been there. And, you know, that's a big jump from 9th place in the Big Ten to 13th with basically the same team. Now, I realize you got a bunch of freshmen and you got some young guys who you hope are going to develop, but your key guys, Race and Trace and Xavier and people like that, that's the same group from last year that just barely got into the NCAA, tournament and then got wiped out in the second game. So I'm like, hold your horses. I don't want to diminish expectations, but yeah, I want to diminish expectations. I think they're going to be good, but I don't think, 13th in the country. I realize the Big Ten has lost a lot of players. I understand that, but gosh, that seems awfully lofty to me.
See, and this is a great discussion because Zach Osterman had a tweet this morning that I wish I had it pulled up, but basically, and this has been the case since Indiana has not been Indiana, but that there seems to be a perception nationally that the inside hype train on Indiana is much higher than it should be.
Yeah.
But the only thing I have to say to that is those national guys who are they listening to? Are they listening to the fans or are they listening to the people that cover the team? Because if they listen to the people that cover the team and that's the sense that they're getting, then that's okay. I understand. But if you're listening to the fans, that's different. And why would you do that? But yeah, I don't know anyone that's saying anything that anybody else isn't saying. Everyone is putting Indiana at the top, not alone, of the Big Ten this year. Why shouldn't they? They've got the All-American returning. They've got all the pieces returning and added.
Yeah, but those pieces got you into 9th place last year.
But what about they returning with pieces that I think are much, much more cohesive with what they have right now and are going to be a much more facilitating team than they've ever been. And they are deeper. People thought that they were deep last year. They really weren't. They had talent deep, but they did not have a mixture deep. And I think there were some substitution issues with that, and that's on Woody.
Well, we'll see. But I saw 13th, ranked 13th in the country. I'm like, shit, man, just get in the top 4 in the Big Ten. Then we'll start talking.
Right. But do you think that that's more because you don't cover them actively? Like you said, you haven't seen Jalen Hood-Schifino play. And I'm not saying this is a downward, but I think that there's a lot of people that nationally they don't cover. If they're not covering, if I'm not covering, I say it all the time. Well, I don't cover that team, so I'm not up to speed on them. And I think that gets to be the case. And yeah, IU fans are clamoring and they talk and jaw because they want IU to be good. Right. But if it's coming from the real IU media, then I think that the national media should listen.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like a mighty big leap to me to go from not being top 9 in your conference to being 13th in the country. I mean, Hood, Schifino, and these guys may be studs. I have no idea, but they didn't do much last year. I mean, they were falling off the map when they had that incredible second half comeback against, I believe it was Michigan, and then they had a nice little run, and they snuck in and won in the first 4, and then got beat by St. Mary's.
They got drilled.
St. Mary's of the Woods, whatever it was. And yeah, they got drilled. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't mean to be Debbie Downer. I mean, maybe that's just how I roll, but I'm just trying to be realistic.
And
I agree.
That point, the 13th ranking to me, I saw this when I covered college football a lot. If you are a premier program or a team that's in the top, you tend to get that sort of treatment. There's almost a desperation for that. You see it with Notre Dame quite a bit. You see it with other teams. If there's a semblance that you could be good, you're usually probably going to get a nod. I was surprised to see 13th as well. I thought maybe around 20.
Yeah.
Don't know if that makes a big difference or not, but there's an element of me that tells me they're going to be good, but there's also that I'll believe it when I see it, because every year they've come back with basically the same team and they haven't been able to do much. So.
And I realize the Big Ten has lost a lot of players. Right. The Big Ten, I mean, you look at the Big Ten, who do you think is going to win the division? I mean, the conference, it could be IU. It could be because Purdue
but it could also be Wisconsin, who last year was picked seventh, ninth, maybe. I don't remember.
Izzo's always going to have a team. I mean, Illinois. Yeah, I mean, I know they lost a lot of talent, but I don't know what Underwood has coming in. So we'll see. I have a lot of reading to do this afternoon. Get up to speed on my Big Ten basketball.
Just go to thehoosier.com. You can get that taken care of, my
I'll
friend.
do that, buddy.
But for everybody else, make sure you go to Bob Kravitz at The Athletic. Give him a follow and have a subscription. I do. It's great content. Keep you up to date on Colts, Pacers, and IU. All things that you need. Bob, what are you working on next? By the way,
well, I'm going to the Colts
on exactly who the Colts should draft. You had the quarterback picked out.
No, I have a list of about 5 guys who I think have a chance to go in the first round. So I mean, Stroud, the usual suspects: Stroud, Young, Hooker, Levis. I'm sure I'm missing some names, but they have no choice. They've got to go unless Sam Ehlinger goes Tom Brady and comes on and leads them to the Super Bowl. They've got to go out and get their successor in the draft next year. And I think this is an acknowledgement that they're not going to go anywhere with the corpse that is Matt Ryan, and that they need, what do you got to lose? If you lose a lot of games, it means you get a better draft pick, means you get a better chance to get a quarterback. So, right. and if you play well, and if Ehlinger plays well, then you've got somebody you can maybe not build around, but somebody who's going to be a piece to your team, maybe as a backup. I mean, unlikely he's going to be your starter long term, but sports is filled with miracles, and maybe this is one of them.
Maybe. Bob Kravitz, can't thank you enough, my friend.
My pleasure, guys. Take care.
Enjoy your golf game.
Well, 83 yesterday.
Oh man,
nice.
You're shooting your age now, brother. You're killing it.
I've been in the 80s for a month. It's been crazy.
I know. You're. I need that pencil you got.
No, ain't no pencil.
I'm kidding. He's killing it. Can't wait to see you, brother. Have a good one. Bob Kravitz from The Athletic joining us here. Brought to you by GoTeen, a part of the Wow Club family. Go to the Wow Club from your Apple app or Google App Store. Start earning Wow rewards today. You can always get an extra 10% off of GoTeen purchases with just the mention of Coil 10. But we've got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Cal Neddenriep from the Indy Star, Rick Bozich, and plenty of comments of yours to get to as well right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
RC?
I don't know why it keeps cutting off like that.
I didn't notice that it cut off, but
okay,
give it a listen. Give it a listen after to make sure it's not cut off that way and like for real. So that's not sent to the radio station like that.
Okay. I'll just edit it. Would you prefer me to edit it out if it's like that?
Yeah, or you can just edit. Yeah, you mean just record over it with it again. Yeah. But what I was going to say is that time I could hear the commercials and you weren't popped in, which was cool.
Oh, I don't know why that was happening.
Well,
okay. Well, no.
You
mean from me playing it, yeah.
Yeah, you were still down here.
Mm-hmm.
Like John acts like he can't do that. That he has to be in the box. Well, you need to teach him how to do that.
So do you want me to stop section 3 at normal time to get back on pace?
What do you mean? Just remind me, you mean? No, well, yeah. What?
Because we went 10 minutes over, so I'm asking, do you want me to?
Yes, I'll shorten up a segment. When does Kyle come on? I mean, when is at just the minutes past, not the hour, just the minutes. At what minute does he normally come on? 10 or 30?
I'm not sure.
You don't? All right. Well, never mind. Hold on. I'll look. It's all right. I need to go get some more coffee. Is that a cat?
Yeah, it's my dumb cat. We're about to go live if you need to get coffee real quick.
Like about how long? Like how long?
Like 20 seconds ago.
Well, it can't be 20 seconds ago. I mean, the show's run. You have to tell me when the break is actually over. It's not over when you want it to be. It's once we've started the show.
I set a 2-minute timer, and then I was going to tell you. So it's about time. You ready? 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Wednesday, brought to you by our good friends from Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore, and her 2 decades of experience could be the difference between you getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl, at IndyHomePros.com. She's a big IU supporter. Home prices seem to have, that market seems to have settled down. Has it not, Dustin? Yeah, you're muted. 5 lefts. There you go. I can hear you now.
Yes, it has significantly over the past year at least.
Our last conversation there toward the end with Bob talking about IU basketball. Let's see. 5 left says they lost a handful of games that had the lead and should have won. I can count about at least 8 games. Oh, there was, yes. I mean, and that's part of it. And you're going to have some of that again, unfortunately. I'm not saying 8. That'll happen. But yes, they did not know how to win last year. They did not know how to close out games. That loss to Wisconsin will just that is a kick in the jewels, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, that reminds me of Peyton and Eli on Monday night. Some of his greatest lines. They were the quarterback was sliding. He just going into a slide, and so the defender pulls up, but the quarterback's foot went right through the middle there, and Peyton's like, "What?" So the quarterback, you can't touch the quarterback, you can't touch, but he can kick you in the jewels there. But you know, it's not a. Yeah, it's funny. Funny.
I did see that play. That was great. It was former Penn State Jaquan Brisker, I believe, who took the shot.
Shot is an appropriate word. Chris says he would rather not be rated and under the radar than rated with a target. Well, that ship has sailed, my friend. Indiana has a target on their back. They are rated as they're everybody, and that's another thing. That is going to be Indiana does have a target on their back, and kind of going to piss some other teams off. Illinois, Michigan State. They're like, hey. We've been here.
Right.
You're a Johnny come lately. I know you're Indiana, but you're a Johnny come lately to everyone in this genre. For kids that weren't born before 2000,
basically
they don't know.
Right.
I mean, they've never really seen in Indiana be anything but what you have seen here in the last 2 decades. So that's why, it goes back to that tweet of Zach's. That's why exactly what it said was his tweet was, there seems to be a perception outside Bloomington that IU hype is building to unreasonable levels ahead of the coming season. While I'm not sure that's true, I recognize the role people like me play in that when we write about why Indiana might win the Big Ten. So, and he just left it at that.
Okay. Let me weigh in on that part, because I agree with the fact that there might be a little bit of overhype. I understand that. And it does make a big difference going from having no expectations to everybody all of a sudden saying you're going to win the Big Ten or
have you ever seen something that has gone from basically 0 to 100 that was not, that there were not people saying there's overhype here, and that there wasn't some overhype in it?
Right.
It's just it's that chemical reaction, baby. Cold gets hot, cold water gets hot faster, and hot water gets cold faster than the other.
And to that point, though, I think, look, I'm a big fan of just being a fan, right? So I don't understand if you want to be excited about this season, if you think they're going to win the Big Ten, I don't think that's unreasonable. This is the most excitement this fan base has had about this program in a long time, because even coming into last year, there were some fans that were excited about Mike Woodson taking over, but there was this mystery about what was he going to be able to do on the floor, what was he going to be able to do in the recruiting trail. He's basically answered those questions. Now, I know they went through some growing pains last year, but you look ahead to this year, they're being picked to finish in, near the top of the Big Ten. They're number 13th ranked. People think they can get to the Sweet 16. To me, I don't know that it's overhype as much as there's just finally some excitement. This is a team that's going to compete. This is a team, they showed you last year. They ended the losing streak to Purdue. They had a big time comeback victory over Michigan in the Big Ten tournament. They were a Jordan Bohannon miracle shot from 3-point land away from getting to the Big Ten tournament championship game, and usually they've stunk it up in that thing. Then they got to the NCAA tournament and won a game. So this team has given you signs. They've showed you signs that they can do it. As an outside, unbiased type of looking at this, I think they'll be good, but there's still a little bit of I'll believe it when I see it. But again, when you're the fans and you've seen this market progress, and it's something different than what you saw in the past, 6 to 8 years maybe, let them be excited, man. Just get fired up for it. I think that's more the case than anything. They finally have something to be excited about. Maybe they're going a little crazy, but that's fan is short for fanatic for a reason.
You know what? And most people, I think, are reasonable.
Yeah.
Every fan base has their zealots, the ones that just their passion does not allow them to see things rationally. But from what I've seen, most people are like, Robert here, who says that if this IU basketball team wins 22 games, which they should win more than that, plays well in the Big Ten tournament and makes any kind of run in the NCAA tournament, it will be a good season. They have a bunch of hype to live up to. Well, they've got a bunch of talent. So there's a reason why you have a bunch of hype. Mike said it all along. I'm hopeful this team will meet these expectations, but I want to see it on the floor first. Too many years of being told great team to see them fall on their face. But again, I'm not in practice, so I have the information to go on that I can gain from talking to people, from what I know about what players are in place, this, that, and the other thing, until we all see the product, and we will see it Saturday to a degree. But knowing what they do have, I'm confident in saying that I think this can be a really, really good team, a team that does win the Big Ten, especially because the Big Ten seems to be down a little bit. But look, we got plenty of time to talk about this and much more. Kyle Neddenriep's going to join us next. We'll get you caught up on the playoffs. And then Rick Bozich joins us later on. We'll get back to this conversation and more. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at Barbara Pop Real Estate Services down in the Louisville, southern Indiana area. Floyd, Clark, Harrison, Scott counties, all down through there. If you're looking for a home in that area, then you need Barbara Pop Real Estate Services. They've served that area for 3 decades. Reach out to Barbara at barbarapop.com or Matt Lincoln, Matt at barbarapop.com. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Yeah, so I'm confused, RC. Is the show just not on a running?
We're back on time now.
No, that's not what I'm confused about.
Okay.
The breaks are just 3 minutes, period. Are you just not doing 3-minute breaks? Or are you just going to go back and edit in afterwards? Or
I set a 3-minute timer, but yeah, when I edit, I make the break the length of the commercial break, and then I put I chop it in like that.
Okay. I'm just confused. All right, thanks.
No problem.
You want me to sing a song? I don't row, row, row your boat. I don't know any good songs off the top of my head. That'd be a
It still has been since 2008, I believe, when it came out, and it still remains one of my favorites. Rockstar by your favorite Nickelback. I love that song. The video's kind of funny too, though.
I think it was before.
Videos.
I'm going to look it up. I thought it was before 2008.
Maybe.
I thought it came out when I was in school.
Could have been 2007, but like, when are you talking about?
I was thinking 2005 or 6. 2005 is when it came out.
2005 is when it came out.
Nailed it. It is one of their better songs. I'll say that. There's another one of theirs that I like too, but that's about the extent of it. I'd have to hear it because it's been a while. Five Love says, when you get praised for your costume, don't forget to mention who gave you the brilliant idea.
You go live in about 30 seconds, just so you know.
What I missed it. What did he say? Which
Five
one?
Left said, Dustin, when you get praise for your costume this year, don't forget to mention who gave you the brilliant idea. I think the other day Five Left said taxi driver.
You guys go live in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this hump day. It's Wednesday, October 25th, I believe. 26th, yeah, 26th. Got to get up to date. Man, the fall has flown.
Yes.
It was incredible, the weather up until yesterday, and the bottom dropped out of October. But it was a much needed rain. It was a soaker, baby. It just soaked all day, all night. But the temperature dropped right along with the precipitation.
Well, it seemed like you had a mostly nice fall. You could get out, play a little golf in the 50s, 60s, 70s. What is it now? Frozen tundra.
The high today is going to be 56, I believe.
Well, that's still not bad.
It's today. I actually supposed to get up to 59. It's
beautiful.
but it's but it's going to be dropping down to the upper 30s in the evening, the overnight lows just for a couple days. But, it's not the temperature in now. The temperatures are going to be fine in the low 60s and mid 60s, up to 70 on Saturday. But everything's wet. And now it doesn't, not much dries areas. We're just talking about the weather, Kyle.
Good fun. Good topic.
Well, we finally got some rain down in Bloomington. The golf courses, the fairways are great. They take great care of them. But boy, if you walk right off the fairway, you could, I think you could build a home right on the structure right there. It's a pretty solid foundation of dirt, dry
rain
dirt.
Up here today. This morning. I think it's supposed to clear off here this afternoon, but should be another good night of weather Friday for football. So that's a good thing. And yeah, we definitely need some rain.
Well, it is definitely football weather, man, and it's definitely football playoff weather. As I don't know, what do you call this? Week 2, because it's week 2 for classes 1 through 4, but it's week 1 for classes 5 and 6.
I just call it's all sectional semifinals for everybody. So it's just the big classes have a week off, so they kind of automatically get into the semifinals. So. But yeah, they're all in the same round at this point for the semifinals.
So this is going to be a weekend where everybody plays. The byes are all over, right?
Yeah, everybody who's still alive. The opening round of 1A through 4A, you eliminated some of the teams from that list, but yeah, everybody who's still playing is playing this week. So it's a full, kind of our last full slate, I would guess you would say. Generally of, I think in the area we've got like 35 games this week, or area teams that are playing. I think it adds up to about 35. So it's a pretty full week of football and some really good games. As you know, we don't do seeding here. So you get some Brownsburg Ben Davis matchup, you get Carmel Westfield matchup, you get some top 10, in 4A, you've got Mooresville and Brebeuf, who's a top 10 matchup. So you got some really good games coming up. And I think, it's a week where you could see some real contenders get knocked out potentially. Certainly that will happen in some of these top 10 games, but then, there's a few upset specials you could see out there this week. So it lines up with a pretty good week of football.
Yeah, I'm trying to look through a list of some of the bigger games at least in the center of the state for the moment, and I'll get to the others. But let's see, the 6A, of course. What's the biggest game in 6A? Is there one or is there a few? Because I know that there's not a ton of games because there's not a ton of teams in that class.
Yeah, like I said, you got Westfield Carmel is kind of one of the bigger ones. You got Brownsburg Ben Davis is one of the bigger ones. So, you got those two. You got, Cathedral Lawrence North could be interesting. Probably not. Cathedral's pretty strong. Lawrence North's kind of been up and down. That's kind of one of the big storylines, though, is Cathedral playing in 6A. They're moving up for the first time since
oh, wow.
I think it was 2016 was the last time they played 6A football. So that's been a storyline all year. That's
amazing. That's truly amazing. They're lucky that they got matched up with Lawrence North. It looks like to start them. It gives them a game to play to get under the belt in the 6A tournament. Not that they really have needed it at 7-1. And who was their only loss to?
They lost early in the year to Brownsburg, week 2, I think it was. Brownsburg kind of controlled that game. It ended up being 42-35, but Brownsburg was, I think, ahead 21-0 early on, and then kind of played from ahead. Cathedral made it close at the end, but that's a game you could see again, and potentially you could see that game in the regional. But Brownsburg's got to get through Ben Davis. Brownsburg's quarterback is coming off. He missed a lot of the second half of the Hamilton Southeastern game 2 weeks ago with a sprained ankle. So his status, Jaden Whitaker, he's going to Western Illinois. His status is sort of up in the air for that Ben Davis game. Ben Davis, really good team. They knocked out Brownsburg last year in the regional. So, it's and Ben Davis's quarterback transferred from Brownsburg last year. So it's sort of there's a lot of ties to that game and that's where I'll be Friday night. But But yeah, that game is definitely one that's interesting too. But yeah, Cathedral. I mean, Lawrence North's a good team. They're 4-5, but they've got some good talent on both sides of the ball. They've kind of been up and down a lot of this season, and they're kind of one of those teams like you could look at that game and Friday night at 8:00 and be like, wow, Lawrence North's hanging in there, Lawrence North's leading or whatever, or it could be like Cathedral up 24-0 and rolling. It could go either. I wouldn't be surprised if either direction necessarily on that game, but they're also right. They're teams that don't play a lot, but they are neighbors. So that's another. Cathedral's right there in that Lawrence Central, Lawrence North area there, so that a lot of these kids know each other, and that's what you find in these sectional games a lot of times is these rival teams that know each other really well, and weird things can happen in part because of that. So that's kind of the fun of it too, is the not a lot of love lost between a lot of these teams who are playing during sectional week.
There shouldn't be, baby. There shouldn't be. Last note there, ironically, Cathedral last played Lawrence North in 2016 when they were in 6A again back then, but they won both times, taking them on. The last time was a 41-38 overtime thriller, but it was also the first round of sectional play. So some irony there. We'll see if that carries on. Let's see. You've got other teams around the state. Gibson Southern, they're rolling along. Evansville Wrights have been undefeated. Going not a lot coming from Southern Indiana, but that Southwest Indiana still has some teams that are still ready to make some noise in the playoffs.
Yeah, Gibson Southern has an interesting game. They play Owen Valley, who they're an undefeated team. And those sometimes you get these little bit far-flung sectionals when you get a little bit farther away from you just have to drive a little bit farther when you're a little bit more spread out. But Owen Valley, their coach Rob Gibson played at Marion University here in Indianapolis, and he's really got that program going all of a sudden. So that's an interesting game. Probably statewide, one of the more compelling games of this round of play. Of course, Gibson Southern last year with Brady Allen was so good, and he's gone, but they've kind of kept rolling on. But a tough matchup it appears to be. I haven't seen either of those teams in person this year, but looks like that should be one of the more interesting games of the week statewide. And then there's some other, like the Evansville area has always got some good teams. Like I said, Wrights has kind of bounced back this year. Evansville Mater Dei in 2A, they always have a few losses because they play up. They play a lot of bigger schools, but they should be a contender in 2A as well. So yeah, it's the area down there, Southern Indiana, it doesn't always produce teams that make a state run, but Evansville area does a lot of times. So there is some good football coming out of that area.
Yeah, and we'll see how that continues this week. You guys listening on the Ref, games live on the Ref here this evening. So make sure you keep it tuned there. What's up next for you? You're going to, I know you said you're going to be out at one of these games. It's hard. How do you cover with all this going on? Do you still just treat it like the regular season as far as going to a particular game?
Yeah, I mean, working for you're out covering a game like you're keeping your own stats. You can't really bounce around like TV guys do. I guess you could, but I don't know what you'd gain from that. But yeah, I try to cover one of the bigger games on Friday night, and I'll be at Brownsburg Ben Davis Friday. We've got people all over the place though, covering either doing videos or covering the games for writing, or so we get the Central Indiana pretty well canvassed, I think, and then we have roundups every week with all the highlights in one place, all the links and everything in one place. So we try to get it all covered, but and try to hit some bigger stories too. I wrote about Ethan Trent, who plays at Carmel, whose brother was Tyler Trent, who was of course the Purdue battled cancer. He kind of became famous in the 2018 Ohio State game, and then passed away about 3 months later, but kind of captured the attention of the college football world anyway there for that period of time. And his brother, Ethan, plays at Carmel, and he's a senior now, offensive lineman who's going to Indiana State. So I went out and talked to him this week, wrote a story about that. That's actually, you can find on the Star this morning. So just, try to find interesting stories like that. Basically, it's not just pretty small part of what we do is the game coverage. You're trying to find good stories and compelling storylines and things like that. And the games kind of take care of themselves, but the people are more interested in those type of stories, I think.
Absolutely. Plenty of other games that'll be going on around the place, around Southern Indiana. Seymour is at Bloomington North. Bloomington South is at Columbus East. The Highlanders, Floyd Central, man, they pulled out 4-5 record. I can't believe that with the start they had. They're at Evansville North. Speaking of folks down there on the ref, Castle is at New Albany. So New Albany not having a good year at 2-7. So Castle at 5-4 looks good for them. So let's see. There was a couple other Evansville teams, but go ahead.
I was going to ask Kyle, has there been anybody, I know we're in the sectional time now, but has there been anybody that's kind of entered the conversation late in the season in the Indiana Mr. Football race? Or what's that kind of look like now? I know that, players can really make a jump here when it's playoff time. Has there been anybody that stood out to you? I know we're early in the race, but maybe the last couple of weeks of the regular season and then now into the sectional?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm kind of hopefully in the next week or so taking a closer look at that because I haven't I do. Yeah, kind of the front runner all year, in my opinion, is Drake Bowen at Andrean. Who's going to Notre Dame. He won a state championship last year in the 2A class. And I think it's still, his to, if they make another run to Lucas Oil, I definitely think he's probably the front runner. They do have,
and it's hard to win Mr. Football from 2A. But is there one for each class?
No.
Okay, good. But is it hard to win it from the lower class? It would seem like it is, even though I know you can jack up some stats sometimes, but the 4As, the 5As, the 6As get a lot of the noise.
Check.
Yeah, but he's generally regarded as the best prospect in the class. So I don't think it matters what. I mean, he would be doing something against 6A. If he was playing 6A, he would be really good. He may not be playing both ways, but he's got the respect. He was Gatorade Player of the Year for last year, so as a junior. So it's not like he's compiling stats against nobodies by any means. Right. So it's a little different, I think, with him. But there are some really good players that in 6A. I think, Dustin, a lot of it comes down to how far can you get in the tournament. A lot of these guys will be somewhat forgotten. The teams who lose Friday, you're sitting at home for the next month. As other guys are still playing. So. That's a lot of times what it comes down to. Danny O'Neill from Cathedral, he's a junior, so he's not eligible to win it. But, a guy like that, for next year, he could really kind of cement his case for next year if they can make a run this year. But, there are some, I look at, some of the, it's not a huge year necessarily for quarterbacks. There aren't those guys like, we had Taven Jackson last year from Center Grove, who's, he's clearly – so it's kind of like you got to see who's going to fall out of the mix here over the next 2 weeks and then kind of gauge it from there, like who's still standing and then take a look at it. And that maybe is not fair because you don't know who you're going to play. It's got a blind draw. So it's just kind of randomly, but it does matter in a lot of cases. And, team success, as we know with the Heisman Trophy, it's kind of the same
which
idea.
It shouldn't be, and it didn't used to be.
No, it didn't.
But yes, I agree with you. But and that has trickled down to the high school level. I mean, unfortunately, that is the case. But it is what it is, man. Well, have fun out there, and it looks like you'll be able to stay dry. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, man. It should be nice, and that's good. I know when it gets to be 30 degrees and I'm freezing my what off, then it's time for basketball season.
Yep.
Absolutely, baby. Well, Kyle Neddenriep, give him a follow and subscribe to your local paper. Keep local papers alive. Appreciate you, sir.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
You bet. Hey, we got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Metalworks Brewing Company, located just off the square in Bloomington, catty corner to Cabello Restaurant in the former Function Brewery location. Make sure you stop by and go to your WOW Club and sign up. Start earning WOW rewards today. Next up, Rick Bozich. Can't wait. Back right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hi, guys.
Hello, Sir Richard.
Changed the look today.
You look like you're at Butler's cabin.
Is that golf?
Yeah, Jim Nance. Speaking of Jim Nance, what a parlay. Yeah, Jim Nance. Parlay right into that.
Farewell, Jim Nance.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a little surprising as easy as he's got it.
Well,
I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way.
I know what you mean.
I mean,
a lot of people think, is it Iron Eagle?
Iron Eagle.
They think he's better anyway, right?
Really?
What I hear.
He's pretty good.
It appears that he is moving out of the way for him. So, that's not surprising. It's just surprising that he is. Now, when they finally got rid of Packer, that was a greatest move that they ever made.
Oh.
He was a jackass. He was a jackass to deal with. He thought he was the stuff, man. Gosh,
he was
I worked with all those guys when I worked at CBS. It was great. I mean, Jim Nance was cool. Quinn Buckner, I remember he worked with him. He was cool. He had to go get him lunch one time, and he just gives me a 20. He said, just use it. And I didn't know what he meant. I thought he meant use it, which I was going to use it. But I wasn't going to pay for it. But there was change, and he just said, no, just use that. And I was just dumb. But even Bill Walton was easy to deal with.
That was when Bill Walton probably wasn't. He used to be not so
big.
What's the word? I don't even know what the word would be. Goofy.
Yeah.
He's always been kind of goofy,
erratic.
Well, a little bit, but now he leans.
He had just gotten his ankles fused. This was in Louisville, Rick, when the NCAA, it was an NCAA tournament site at Freedom Hall in '91, I think. Indiana played there against Florida State. I remember those teams. But man, Raftery was there. Sean McDonough. I worked with Sean a few times. Yes, RC.
You guys go live in about 30 seconds, just so you know.
Perfect.
Bill Walton is sort of, I don't know what the right word is, just sort of erratic.
I like listening to him as long as he's not doing a game that I really kind of need to watch.
Right.
That's a good way of putting it.
Count you guys down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Wednesday, October 26th. Welcome aboard, and we have got the Hall of Famer Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Make sure you go there and give him a follow. Complete coverage on all things sports for everything you will ever need. How are you doing, sir?
Doing good. Got my taste of football and basketball over the weekend. Louisville played football Friday night against Pitt and had their best win of the year. And then got my first look at the Cardinals on Saturday in a red-white scrimmage game. And action started to pick up. It's been a little slow this week with no baseball, but we'll be back on Friday.
Yeah, I got a commercial started in my ear that I can't stop. I hate John Lewis talking to me in my ear on WDRB.com there. I hate when they do when the videos they start automatically. I hate that. And then you're scrambling to try to stop it. You couldn't hear it, but it's just John was just blaring in my ear. Tell him thanks a lot, by the way.
I will.
I hope he's doing well. One of the things I was going to ask is Tom Allen's seat is, I don't think it's warm because I don't think he's going anywhere this year. But if this were another year, whose seat would be warmer, Tom Allen's or Scott Satterfield's? Or are they the same right now?
I think if the buyout, if you threw out the buyout situation, I would say probably Tom Allen. I mean, you're looking at Indiana probably not winning another game the rest of this year. And then you're talking about back-to-back seasons where you've finished the year on 9 straight losses.
Yep.
And then when you look at who they've beaten, it's 2 wins over Idaho, 2 wins over Western Kentucky, and the 1 win over Illinois, and that's it. And Louisville, last year they were 6-7. This year they're now 4-3. And they've. I'm not saying they're going to win against Wake Forest, but they're only a 4-point underdog against the number 10 team in the country. And the game's a home game, and they got a chance down the stretch to pick off a couple of wins. I could see them possibly beating NC State at home because NC State's quarterback's out for the year. I don't think they're not going to win at Clemson. They're not going to win at Kentucky, I don't think, but they could get 2 of the last 4 and get to 6, and Indiana's not getting to 6.
No.
And their biggest covet would be Jeff Brom, of course, that everyone knows, but he's having a good enough year at Purdue where there's probably not a lot of grumbling from them. He's still chasing a Big Ten West title potentially this season, which would really change the conversation. And then you add the fact that in 2 years from now, there is going to be an influx of money into the Big Ten that the ACC doesn't even the additional money that's coming in is more than the ACC teams are getting now.
Right.
So it's like, I can't imagine from a financial standpoint. It's kind of like the position in reverse that Texas A&M is in with Jimbo Fisher. Well, they can't get rid of him. It would cost them too damn much money, like $86 million or something.
Yeah, I mean, going back to IU, the thing that's the right word, puzzling, concerning, annoying, however you want to put it, whatever your perspective is, that they just have these long stretches in the games where they're totally inept, where you feel like they come out there and it's going to be a 3 and out, and it's 3 and out followed by 3 and out followed by 3 and out, and even the defense really. I mean, the offense gave them a 14-0 lead on Saturday at Rutgers, which has a terrible offense, and they still couldn't get it done. So I don't know what's wrong, but wherever it was 2 years ago to wherever it's now, something's happened, whether it's, coaches who are gone or the talent that's changed or the chemistry of the conditioning or whatever. But there needs to be, after the season, a total examination of what's going on and how they need to develop some toughness and some grit. They talk about that, but when the going gets tough, they're just not capable of doing it.
I have noticed, and it just dawned on me since you said that Tom has stopped popping out new words to use.
Great point.
As they have been doing a lot of times, because I think he knows that there's other things to focus on. But the biggest thing to me is the defense. The defense has been the biggest disappointment to me, because how much can you expect out of Walt Bell? Be a miracle worker. I think he's done okay. I think they've done okay. They've been an okay offense sometimes. They've done enough sometimes. If the defense would have, and the defense has been put in a lot of bad positions, don't get me wrong, but they've also just not done anything. They haven't gotten pressure on the quarterback. They haven't gotten a lot of turnovers. They haven't given the offense great field position. And Tom Allen made it a point to go back and call the defense. That is what is the scariest part to me.
Yeah, and he was good at it when he first was brought in by Kevin Wilson the first few years at IU, and for whatever reason it hadn't happened this year. As far as the offense goes, we can talk about schemes, we can talk about coordinators, we can talk about all this stuff, but from my seat, when you sit and watch them play, is they just don't have the dudes. I mean, you can scheme them up and coach them up as many as you want to, but if you can't block the opposing team well enough to run the ball consistently on first down, to stay out of second and third long passing, where the other team knows that your running game is so inept, they can rush 4, maybe sometimes 3, at most 5, and make it impossible for Bazelak to find anybody open. I mean, you're just not going to move the ball. They need, I don't know, they need better players for sure.
Well, and they trail, Dustin. They trail everyone in recruiting right now. Commitments, I think, with only 8. You're muted, by the way. For next year, that is an issue that is going to cause serious problems next season, and they're going to have to hit the transfer portal seriously hard.
Well, they had a ton of momentum on the recruiting trail. I mean, Tom Allen had, I think, at one point, maybe going into that 2019 season, before they really even took off, he had 6 or 7 of Indiana's top 10 all-time recruits. That is falling off because you cannot go, as Rick said, you can't go 2-10 and then 3-9 with a couple of 9-game losing streaks to close out the year and sustain that sort of momentum. The other thing that I think is a problem, they've had 3 offensive coordinators in 4 seasons. They've had 3 defensive coordinators in 3 seasons. There is no continuity on that staff. In Indiana, there are places like Iowa, Northwestern, where they have at least some continuity. You know that guys are going to be there usually a couple of years. Now, there might be a guy that stops on those staffs and is there for maybe just a year and goes someplace else. But you have to have continuity among your staff. And it's like the guys that Tom Allen kept around were not the guys you needed to keep around, and the guys that left were the guys that you did need to build that continuity. So I think there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of problems. The thing that really concerns me is I feel like there's going to be a lot of major changes this offseason again. And that's not very often when you see a staff make wholesale changes and it turns out well for the head coach. I can think of Scott Frost at Nebraska. I can think of Darrell Hazel at Purdue. Usually if you have to make some significant changes, the only one I think remember working out is Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. They ended up winning the Big Ten. So something to keep an eye on. I like Tom Allen. I love that he loves being the head coach at IU, but it's looked so bad the last 2 weeks. And you basically have fielded the same team the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go through a stretch where you played, Nebraska and Maryland and Rutgers and not beat any of them. And you just can't. I mean, when you're at Indiana, because you're not going to beat Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, maybe Michigan State this year. I guess that game is possibly, I'd give them maybe a 20% chance to win that game. But when you got Nebraska, Maryland, and Rutgers, you got to get one of those. You can't get swept in back-to-back years by Rutgers and Maryland. You can't.
Nope. And that is where they are. They are back to being the Rutgers of the Big Ten. And boy, that was a quick fall. On the other side of the
basketball
campus, I guess you'd say, other side of the parking lot is Assembly Hall. Simon Scott Assembly Hall, where Saturday at 3:00 we get our first look at Indiana as for real in a semi-real setting with an exhibition, but it will be an opportunity to see this group, Rick, to see this starting lineup. I don't know if we're going to see anything about how Mike substitutes, because he would probably do it differently in this game than he probably would in a real game. But I think we probably will see mass substitutions tomorrow. I don't know, or Saturday rather, but you're going to see a lot of guys. I mean, I think there's so much talent there. He's going to want to see it.
No question about it. And neat to see it. I think it's a good time. I think last year, one of the things that happened was early in the year, I don't think he played enough. Some of the younger guys, specifically Logan Duncan, maybe was hurt. I don't remember, but you need to get some of those young guys some opportunities, not only in the first 2 exhibition games, but in the Morehead State game and a few other ones. After that, we'll all be looking for, I think, the same things to see if Jalen Hood-Schifino is as good as advertised, because the reviews on him from people who've been to practice, from his teammates, from NBA scouts, has been universally, that he might be the best NBA prospect on the team. We'll be looking to see, is Miller Kopp still in the starting lineup? Is he a little bit more assertive, confident, aggressive, shooting the shot than he was last year?
We had Don Fisher. Don Fisher was on with us Monday. He says that Trey Galloway is actually shooting the ball better, in addition to Miller Kopp, but that Trey Galloway, on Monday, he said that has actually been shooting the ball a lot better, which that would be a gigantic step for Indiana because he's not someone that provided a lot of offensive input. He had some games where he could get 8 points for you, that's all you can ask. But generally, he's more of a facilitator, if that makes sense. He's not the guy facilitating, but he's just kind of in the mix there.
Yeah, the number one thing I want to see from Trey Galloway is cut back on turnovers. His turnover percentage has been too high the last 2 years. He's had a number of plays where he does that thing where he drives and gets to sort of where he wants to be, but not all the way to where he wants to be, and then isn't sure what he's going to do with the ball and throws it up. So he's a guy. I mean, between Geronimo, Bates, and Galloway, one of those guys really needs to make a leap forward for Indiana to be an elite team. They got to have one of those guys really come through and make a step where you say, it doesn't have to be the Oladipo step, because people always talk about that, and we don't see that very often. There's only been one Oladipo over the last 20 years, but just a step to be, this is a dependable player who you can put in the game for 20 or 25 minutes, and he's not going to hurt you, and he's going to help you by making defensive plays or making hustle plays or rebounding plays and an occasional big shot.
5 Left says you got to trust player development, Dustin and Rick. People need to see player development. That's, I think, something that recruits need to see.
Yes.
This is a season where they're not exactly knocking it out of the ballpark with recruits that they have taken on. So they need to see development from Tamar Bates, from Jordan Geronimo. You mentioned a bad turnover to assist ratio, he turned the ball over too much. But guys like him, Miller Kopp, does he get better? But they need to see player development because
Logan Duncan's another one to see player development from. And for the bigs, Davis and Race Thompson have talked him up pretty big, as if he's going to be somebody who can come in. You view him as a guy who's going to be a valuable piece in the Big Ten, because the Big Ten is still a league with big, full-size centers. They don't have as many of these 6'8", 6'9" mobile guys who go out in the perimeter and shoot threes and stuff. So you need Logan Duncan to help you out against Hunter Dickinson. You need him to help you out against Zach Edey. You need him against the Wisconsin guys. A guy who can, establish his position on the post, especially defensively, and in offense, maybe he can make a play here or there, but throw the ball into him and he can get it out to somebody else who can score.
Are you coming up to the exhibition?
No, I got to cover Louisville Wake Forest on Saturday. I'll be there for a week from Monday for the Morehead State game.
Not a lot expected from the first exhibition. What do you think? What are your expectations that you expect to see Woody? What do you think he's looking for out of this?
I think he wants to see who plays well with each other. I think he wants to see who plays with confidence, and who guards. And we're all talking about offense, but let's remember the number one improvement Indiana made last year was on defense. They were a top 20 defense for most of the year until the very end. They might have finished in the top 20 if not for that horrific performance against St. Mary's. So he wants guys who can guard. And so I think I'll be looking at, how well do some of these guys guard? And then everybody wants to see what the freshmen can do. What skill set do they have, how they contribute, especially Jalen Hood-Schifino. There's no doubt he's going to have to be an impact player for Indiana to be a good team this year, because Parker Stewart's gone and there's a starting backcourt spot open. And can he and Xavier Johnson work in the same backcourt together? I know they're both, quote, point guards, but I think they're both can be just guards who can both initiate the offense. And I think we'll want to see another thing that made Indiana improve at the end of last year was Xavier Johnson and Trace Jackson Davis really upgraded their two-man game on the pick and roll, and see whether they still have that going.
Yeah, because I think they're going to have that from both sides. I think that Indiana is going to be able to develop that from both sides because of exactly what you just said. Jalen Hood-Schifino can be the 1, the 2, and I think that Xavier Johnson can do that just as well. We've seen him create his own shot. He can facilitate or whatever you need. So I think Indiana's going to have a dangerous offense because of that. It's going to be a lot quicker, and the options are going to be a lot more. And if Miller Kopp could knock down some shots, now you're in trouble because you've got Race Thompson and Trace Jackson Davis roam in the middle. that's a battle. That's a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of pieces. I mean, and we've thought that in previous years about some Indiana teams, and then you look at it and say they don't really have anybody on the bench. This year, it looks like, if you go with Hood, Schifino, Kopp, Johnson, Thompson, and Jackson Davis starting, then I would think the first man off the bench is probably Bates. And then Geronimo, and then Galloway. Those would be the top three.
Which is kind of amazing because a lot of people would have a lot of people would have thought that Tamar Bates would have started last year, and then by this season, unquestionably that he started. And I don't know. Even if he had gotten even or slightly surpassed Miller Kopp, I don't know that when he makes that change just to keep bringing Tamar off the bench to have that way, because we know he likes to have that new wave.
Yeah, I've been encouraged I've just read a story about Bates, and I was encouraged by some of the quotes in there where they said, did you ever consider going in? He admitted he was frustrated that he didn't play in the second half of a bunch of Big Ten games last year, which he didn't. And they asked him if he ever considered going in the portal. He said not for a minute, that whatever issues he had was a matter of him needing to improve, not what happened in Indiana. And he wasn't raised that way. When you have something bad happens, you run from it, which that's a very mature thing for a guy to say. What I need to see from Bates is his whole demeanor, his whole approach to basketball isn't dictated about whether his shot's going in or not. He's like a lot of freshmen, like last year when he comes in and he doesn't make any first thing he does when he gets the ball is shoot it, not set somebody else up or drive it. It's shoot it. And then when a shot doesn't go in, he's not contributing another way. He's a guy who can break his man down off the dribble and get inside and force somebody else to switch on him and feed somebody else. He needs to, just like Galloway, improve his assists and decrease his turnovers. Those guys are a little bit the same in that manner.
You had a piece out not too long ago in regards to John Calipari's recent comments at SEC Media Days. I mentioned that I was up at Big Ten Media Days and talked to Mike Woodson and asked him about that very question. And Mike had said that he had hoped that they could get something done within the next 2 or 3 seasons. That was the quickest that they could get it done. And then John Calipari said that they had indeed reached. It drives me nuts that they let him steal all the thunder. But of course, but I love your opening words in Rick's piece at WDRB.com. It says, now that John Calipari has conquered a decade of grudge holding about getting court stormed at Assembly Hall and decided to bless Indiana with another basketball game, he has one request, and that is to play it at the local schools. And I agree with that. I know that that's not going to happen. I hope that at the very least, it's a 4-year rotating, one on, one off, one on, one off, whether it's, at the Yum Center, then the Gamebridge, then Rupp, then Assembly Hall, which probably Assembly Hall would absolutely be last because that is the most – you already know where I'm going. That is the most options for Calipari to no longer be there.
Right.
So I think that's going to happen anyway. I don't know that he's here 2 years more. There's no guarantee that he's here 2 more years. We'll see, but I don't care. I'm glad the game's happening. I don't care where it's played.
Yeah, I mean, what I wrote was, and Kentucky has a sort of a tradition of playing these games away from Lexington, and I've written before that it's not fair to their fans. The home fans get stuck with a lot of crappy games that they have to pay for in November and December. Give them some of the marquee games. You're asking them to, spend a lot of money to come watch games. So my point is every student who goes to UK and U of L, and it's about the students, right, deserves the chance for IU to be at Rupp one time so their students can go see him, and for UK to be at IU one time so IU students can go see him. If you want to play the 2 other games in the 4-year rotation at the Yum Center or Lucas Oil or Gamebridge or whatever, that's fine, but don't exclude the campus sites from this series.
But they don't gain anything from those other venues because Mike DeCourcy pointed out yesterday, because I was talking about attendance, Rupp holds the most of any of the facilities, I think, even over Gamebridge.
Lucas, they can go for 40,000.
Well, yeah, but that would suck.
Why would they put a Final Four in there? You could make it into a match. IU and UK played in RCA Dome.
I know, and it was big. I mean, because it was full. I mean, they filled it. I was there for Damon Bailey when Damon, and then that was a wild environment, man. 41,000 people twice, and
well, I think like do that because Calipari likes.
Oh yes,
the
NCAA tournament type fest. Yeah. He also does whatever he can to not put his team at a disadvantage by being at somebody else's place.
So you have 20,000 Kentucky fans there, and the onus would be on IU fans to show up.
Yeah. So you think they're going to go to Lucas Oil?
I do. Yeah.
I'd mentioned that, but I just didn't think that they would. But then that would eliminate, say, Yum Center. It would be I'd say
Lucas Oil. Well, maybe. I guess they could do 2 in Lucas Oil and then 1 each at campus, or there might be some clamor to have that, one closer to Lexington and have it here. Although when I brought that up last week, Louisville fans immediately some of them were indignant about it. Like they're not playing in Louisville's arena. Well, it's like
they don't own that stadium. They don't have anything to say about it. They'll build their own stadium if they want to control something.
Yeah, but I think that would stir up memories of when IU and UK played in Freedom Hall. And the tickets were divided exactly in half, and you could see right at center court, red on one side, blue on the other. So I think that would be fantastic.
It was a good looking scene.
That would create buzz. It would get people talking. You'd get the national media in. I think it certainly would be a game that CBS or ESPN or Fox or whoever would want to pounce on for December and program it, on a good slot on a Saturday afternoon. And I think it'd be fun.
I don't understand.
I think it'd be a blast.
I don't know why, if they did this, I don't know why they couldn't, because I would have collaborated with a 4-team multi-team event or something along those lines. I think you could also draw in, if you're going to do it at Lucas Oil, you could draw in Purdue and Louisville and make it.
No. They have already had that crap.
You don't win.
Right.
Well, I mean, they've done different, the Crossroads, which was not Louisville, but the Big Four Classic.
Yeah, that was Louisville and Notre Dame. It wasn't Purdue. Purdue was.
It wasn't Purdue.
It was Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, Louisville. It
went up.
You don't need them.
Yeah, I mean, I think you don't want. I'm speaking as a marketer here. You want to elevate yourself. You don't want to give one of your competitors similar type exposure. You don't. You take the stage all the way to yourself.
Another reason why Calipari wants to come to Indiana and play in the big venue in Indianapolis, because that's a gigantic recruiting base.
You're correct. Marcus Teague came out of there. Trey Lyles came out of there. There's going to be other guys coming out of there. He likes that exposure in there for sure. I'll say Kentucky already has 2 of those kind of events. They got that Champions Classic with Duke, Michigan State, and Kansas that starts the year every year. And then they got the one in December with North Carolina, UCLA, and Ohio State. That's the one that Indiana was invited to be in, and they had to turn it down because of the Crossroads Classic, and Ohio State got it instead, which was a colossal mistake by Fred Glass. You don't do that.
Wow, that was the first one he ever made.
You got to think as a national brand. That Calipari is the number 1 man in college sports, in my opinion, at branding and marketing his team. He makes sure everybody knows that they are a big deal. And, I know it annoys some people, but standing back as a neutral observer and saying, that dude knows what he's doing. He can sell himself to recruits. He can sell himself to the media. He can sell himself to his fans. He gets it, man. He was ahead of the game. And bringing rappers in to the Midnight Madness, and now other schools are doing it. Indiana did it. Louisville did it. He was doing that 10 years ago.
Just right now with that coal miner story. Not that that's not a good story, but look, he's the one out tweeting all the stuff out, so he knows what he's doing. He's getting it. He is just milking that for all it's worth. And I'm not saying that he doesn't enjoy doing the nice thing. I would not say that about anyone, but when the first thing is when the first tweet is coming from that person, I'm like, okay, well, Geez, the's no humble pie there, is there? But oh well. But I agree with you. I agree with what you said. He's always thinking, and you know what? And like I said, he doesn't play very many games where he's at a disadvantage. He wants all the chips in his corner, and I don't blame him for that. That's how you win. The more chips you got, the longer you can play. So
I'll defend him on this, Mark. In terms of community service and community outreach, the dude has a heart of gold. He's done huge fundraisers for the earthquake in Haiti, the tornado in Mayfield, Kentucky. They just played that exhibition game in Eastern Kentucky because of the flooding they had last summer. He is community driven and oriented. During the pandemic, he donated a bunch of money to food banks. I mean, he really does do outreach into the community, and he should be commended for that. I think it's sincere. He really does work at it.
Well, you just gave it to him. What's up next for you?
What's up next for me is Louisville against Wake Forest Saturday afternoon at 3:30. The number 10 Demon Deacons with Sam Hartman, a really good quarterback. Looking forward to that game. Then I'll get home in time to watch Kentucky at Tennessee. The Wildcats face the number 3 team in the country on the road as a 12-point underdog. And then Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock, Kenny Payne and the Louisville Cardinals' first exhibition against Lenore Rhine. So it's another mixed weekend of football and basketball with some World Series.
No Big Ten plus watching IU and Marion, or
I'll be at the Louisville football game.
Oh, that's right. It's going on. Well, you have to watch it on your phone.
Louisville 3:33. Yeah, I guess I can multitask. How much is the Big Ten plus?
Oh, I don't know. $5. Who knows?
I'll put it on your tab.
Put it, I was going to say, or just expense it. Expense it.
Just DM me your login.
Got it. Not a problem. The great Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Make sure you're giving him a follow. If you're not, you're missing out. Rick, cannot thank you enough, sir. I look forward to seeing you soon.
All right. See you next week and see you at the Morehead State game.
Absolutely. Rick Bozich joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. We've got more coming up. Myself and Dustin Schutte, brought to you by Cabello Restaurant, located right on the square in Bloomington on the north side. Enjoy the tastes and traditions of Southern Italy right here in Southern Indiana at Cabello. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
What? Someone know earlier. Ryan, I think it was Ryan. It must be. Let's see. Where is it? Nope. Where did I go? I marked it. There we go. Ryan Blaker, appreciate you, man. Yes, you can hear our breaks on YouTube. Commercials, especially when we have a fill-in producer. Commercials are edited in after the fact. So that's the great thing about listening live. You get to listen to all the live action. That's live action, baby. That's live action.
That's right.
You know what that was from?
It's live action.
That critter catcher guy, he was in Kentucky. And then they found out some of that stuff was fake, which I wonder, I'm like going, man, how could there be all this crap going on? And how does he find out about all of it?
Right. Wow.
Because it was always different. And I'm like, all right.
Rumors of Madison Square Garden, maybe Chicago or Las Vegas for the Indiana-Kentucky game.
Wait a minute. Where is that coming from?
Well, Robert just made a comment on it.
Oh,
he
said,
what about the rumors?
There are no – wait a minute. There aren't rumors? I don't call them rumors. It depends on – well, and I'll say this when we get back, but depending on what the sort where these rumors are coming from, it's not a rumor to me. If it's coming from Facebook or wherever, that's not a rumor to me. Unless it's coming from someone of media standing, I call it. of legit media standing. It's not even a rumor.
Right. It's basically just a thought.
Yeah, it's someone that someone thought, oh, that would be great to do it here. Oh, it'd be great to do it here. You could do it here. Well, of course, they could do it there. They could do it on an ice skating rink.
You guys are live in about 30 seconds, just so you know. You're good in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. It has been a great one, as always. Plenty of fun and talk of all kinds of things. We've covered everything from the Colts quarterback issues, the Colts problems, Indiana football, Indiana basketball. Let's see what else has been going on that I didn't touch on. Indiana and Evansville tied in soccer last night, I believe.
Oh, wow.
That was probably was it? I wonder if it was nasty down there like it was here.
It looked like, I saw some pictures. It looked like it was raining most of the day, but it cleared up right before the game started.
Just hitting some of the comments in the Andy Moore Honda hotline. Mark says, in his opinion, Illinois will be very young. No, they're not going to be. They have revamped with the transfer portal hard, man. They are not young. Michigan State and Whiskey play slow, bully ball, and Edie can't play up-tempo game. Well, he doesn't have to if they're controlling the tempo. So you have to remember that. You can have all the tempo you want as long as you're controlling that. So, but don't think that Zach Edey is not a problem, because he is.
Right.
He's a mountain, Mount Edey. You got to go around him. Let's see. 5 Left says he hasn't seen IU players look so comfortable and confident since the early 90s. I think that will manifest itself on the court this year. We'll see as that goes on. That seems to be the case, but I haven't seen him enough, so I can't say that. I mean, I want to agree. Mike says what makes him nervous is he keeps hearing because the Big Ten is down as why IU will be so good. What if the Big Ten wasn't so down? Would they still be good? I think that that's not the case. It's the fact that Indiana is being made one of the favorites after, as Bob Kravitz pointed out, not finishing higher than 9th in the last 6+ years. That is why. That's why. It's because, hey, you can't just make them the favorite, because there are still unknowns. They still do have unknowns, but that's the issue with every Big Ten team. There's unknowns. I don't know that Michigan's going to be that good. They do have, you know who I'm talking about, Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah.
Some find the player of the year, but what else do they have? They lost a lot. Illinois, like I just said, they're not going to be young. They reloaded from the transfer portal. Purdue is solid, and they've got Mount Edey. They're solid. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be a battle. Michigan State is not going anywhere. How bad is Wisconsin going to be after what they lost? It's hard to tell.
Right.
Iowa, they've got another Murray.
They do. And I think that's basically what you're looking at. When they say the Big Ten is down, I mean, you look at basically who they lost. There was Keegan Murray. You lost Johnny Davis. You lost Jaden Ivey. There was you lost Kofi Coburn. You lost a lot of really good players in the league. That doesn't mean the teams can't be good, but it's impossible to look at the players that went to the NBA draft and the players who graduated and say that it's going to be as solid as it was last year. But again, Jim, like you just said, we haven't seen anything from any of these teams. It could once again be the best league in the country. And just because Indiana's picked to be the top doesn't mean it's a down year necessarily. There's just a lot of unknowns. Every team's got a lot of unknown parts, whereas the last couple of years, because of COVID, because of the extra eligibility, and because of the talent that was returning, we knew a little bit more about the teams. We're going into this season blind, and it's kind of exciting.
Who's the turtle man?
Dana Carvey.
No, it's not what they're talking about. Robert commenting on Rick's comment a minute ago about John Calipari's branding efforts at Kentucky. He's pointing out that, just look at the way that their fans view their team and their expectations. They consider any season short of a national championship a failure. Now, that's high-end expectations. That's how it used to be at Indiana, though. But it's not really a failure if you don't win the national championship, but if you're not competing for a national championship.
Right.
And that's how it used to be at Indiana for a long time, and not just when Bob Knight was here. They had 2 banners hanging before he arrived in Bloomington.
Right.
So you got that going for you, which is nice. And then it continued for 3 more decades, and it could have continued for longer if the administration had screwed it up. That's a whole different discussion. And we're almost out of time on top of that. Correct, Mr. Fill-in producer?
Yes, I had the alarm set for 7:30, so you're good.
Perfect. All right. We're about to, I can't thank everybody enough. Big thanks to Bob Kravitz from The Athletic, as always, for joining us. Always a fun time. Cal Neddenriep from the Indy Star, getting us updated as well. And the Hall of Famer, Rick Bozich, as well. Each Wednesday, these guys, I'm always looking forward to talking to each and every one of them. We're back tomorrow with more. May have to try to get a special guest tomorrow add in as we're closing in on the start of basketball season for the Indiana Hoosiers this Saturday. We'll see what we can get scared up for that. And then, of course, lots of football coming up this Friday. Indiana has a bye week, but college football continues, baby. And we'll be coming to you live from BB's. Looking forward to that. Don't forget our good friends down in Southern Indiana, Reynolds Family Dentistry. Keep that championship smile. Go see Dr. J. Thanks to everybody else. Dustin Schutte, as always, co-hosting here on Indiana Sports Beat, and RC filling in for John, the producer, today. Biggest thanks to you guys. Without you, we don't have police reason to be here. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.